This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook. I am so excited because I have the brand new CEO of Precor, but more importantly, the general manager of Peloton Commercial, Rob Barker. Welcome to the Playbook.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. It's great.
You know, this is a very recent acquisition, Precor to Peloton. And who would have ever thought that the pandemic would end up being and bringing blessings to somebody in
Mm.
the fitness world? And I'm sure, just like me being in the sports world, that, March of last year hits and, there's probably some explicit words that came through, at least your mind, if not your mouth, about what we were going to do. So I'd love to take you back to the beginning of COVID and get your mindset when you found out that pretty much almost every gym in the world was going to be closed.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. It seems like you're asking me to think back 5 years ago, not 12 months
It's
ago.
been dog years, right?
It's like, yeah, absolutely, dog years. That's a great one. I'm going to steal that if you let me.
Of course.
We just finished a record year in 2019. And like everyone, we were resetting our ambitions and goals, and we had great momentum. I can remember the day I was in Vancouver, funny enough, Vancouver in Canada, meeting our owners who are in Arc'teryx, one of our sister brands. So I was up at Arc'teryx's office, but we were going through the Precor stuff and we had momentum. And I can remember the industry report just came out and there were like 16 categories and we had grown share in all but one of them. So it was like, hey, this year's going to be great. We'd kicked it off with the sales group. And then by the time I get back, my phone's blowing up and everything's shutting down. And our first worry was actually supply chain, not demand. I can remember driving to Vancouver worried about supply chain from some of our Asian components, all that. We didn't realize we were in for a year's worth of lockdown. So yeah, and then of course you go in, it's really weird because you're not prepared for that. And there's no modular business school that you can't, or in a previous job, I did the COVID 2 years. It's like at the same time, I felt like my whole life I've been preparing for this because your values and your moral compass. So it's like really yin and yang. Every day had that weird kind of up feeling of I've never done it before, but hold on a minute, my moral compass and my values are kicking in, and I've lived those forever. So we should be able to get through this somehow.
And that's great for your own mindset, but you had so many employees and people relying on you. How were you able to communicate or inspire the others around you to have that similar mindset that, things have changed, accelerated in some respect, but we're prepared for this as a company as a whole. What were some of the things that you did as a leader to inspire those people that may not have had the same confidence that you had?
Yeah, that was a great one. Get out there first, so be very visible, and even using some of the tools that we had but didn't really use much, such as some of the team streaming, video conferencing, get the whole company on. I We set this up so that anyone in the company could ask me a question live, even anonymously through the chat function. So they felt that they could really ask the tough questions directly to the leader and the leadership. So accessibility is a big deal, and telling it straight with rational optimism. So the one that we immediately kicked into controlling the mindset. And just a bit like a sports, you hear these sports people saying, well, I can't control the competition, but I can control myself. And so we kind of tried to just focus a bit more internal like that. What can we control? Mindset was the first one. So we talked a lot about that as a company.
Super smart. Well, one of the other things that you're known for with Precor, and I'm sure helped the valuation of the Peloton acquisition, you've been known as someone who's a customer of yours and utilized it for years and years. Is you have a reputation as a company to listening to your customers for your inspiration. You really are customer centric. The evolution of different equipment that you've done, it seemed to me that you always were on the cutting edge because, as you have these, people who utilize your equipment, you were listening to them for what inspired them and where to go, which doesn't surprise me as you and Peloton have married because both are very customer centric in providing value to that. You internalize that as well. Your customer at that first time became your own employees, but then it seemed as if you started listening to the customers outside again to figure out how best to maximize the change. What were some of the things that you were hearing, and how did you react to the customer throughout COVID?
Yeah, the customers wanted help. And then, so in business to business, we obviously have our customer and our customers' customers. So the members of the gyms and fitness centers and in the hotel, education-based places, multifamily, of course, the operators were struggling, so they wanted clear guidance on safety protocols, cleaning protocols, financial, helping them steer them through the financial liquidity issues that they're going to have. And then the end exercisers really getting close to them, and they were saying that actually health and fitness is going up in importance in their mind because of this COVID challenge, but they just don't have the accessibility like they used to. Obviously, companies like Peloton almost were the other side of that, where you've got this hyper demand at Peloton triggered by COVID, but the habits about kind of caring about your personal well-being and also the convenience, that's number one thing, funny enough, for most health clubs is when prospective members are asked, why did you join? It's convenience and accessibility come out number one. So it's not surprising that the home side picked up a lot too. So, and then the members are really telling us now, so right here, right now, it's about the omni-channel consumption of fitness. And that's not a new trend. That's been going in every industry. So that's if people want to work out where they want to work out with the best possible content in their pocket. And whether it's at home, at the office, a hotel, if you're a road warrior and you're out, hitting the roads, you just want you want the best life wherever you go. So that's kind of what they're telling us now.
And listening to the consumer's inspiration leads me to understanding what inspires you. A lot of times, we can't find outside of ourselves what we can't find inside of ourselves. So I'd love to know, what really inspired you through COVID, or what inspires you today?
Yes. So the first thing was I've had this personal kind of feeling that more people, more active, more often was, it was just like a bit like of a calling, really. I just knew that the world was going to be a better place if people moved, and I didn't know how I was going to fit into that when I was young, when I was 16, and it was first occurring to me. But I managed to fit into the industry, which is great. And then the other thing is winning with others. Winning alone is great, but it's nothing like winning with others. And all the great memories that you have of anything great, you always think of the people and the smiles and the hugs and the celebrations. And so winning with others, and so you think, right, okay, you put those two together, keep true to those things, and it's very hard for COVID to push any of those things out of your heart and your head, and then you just keep. And then the other thing is a rational optimist. So we talked a lot about actually being rational and not over or under seeing this thing. A lot of people in the early days saying, "Oh, this is going to be a tough 3 or 4 months," and we were like, "It looks to me like it could be 18 months. This thing, it's going to take, herd immunity, whether one way or the other, it takes that long." So we were like, "No, this thing's going to be longer." But will it end? Yeah, it will end. And so that was a big deal too, is having a rational optimist. And there's a great YouTube video of a guy called Sean Aker, The Happiness Advantage, that TED Talks. It's like 13 minutes that changed my life, because he was saying you put happiness before success, not after. And if you do that, you become more successful by doing it. So I have to give that guy credit for steering me in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that as well. I came up with my own definition of happiness: to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my own potential as that happiness, to put happiness ahead of any outcome or attaching my emotions to that outcome. No, you definitely are a celebrant. You know, you love to celebrate other people's success. You love to elevate others, to elevate yourself, which your whole career, it seems as if you've been able to do. You've also built some great leaders within all the organizations and careers that you've had. And now, as general manager of Peloton Commercial, there's a lot more great leaders that you'll develop and a lot more people to inspire. What advice would you give to the younger leaders now within your organization or team in order to develop their leadership skills?
The fun, that's the funnest part of the job. The best thing someone will ever say to me is, wow, you're so lucky to have a great team. And you go, yeah, I am lucky. And that's the perfect thing. So young people, own your own personal development. Lots of people expect to get it from HR or their boss once every 6 months or once a month on a plate. You know, the person that's staring back at you when you're cleaning your teeth in the morning is the one who's going to sort it out first, and you own it yourself. So firstly, ownership. You are your own corporate athlete, and you are your own coach, and then be hungry for personal growth, and constantly be reading and stealing. And in this wonderful world now where you can go and get the world's best talks online for free, you've basically got the world's best coaches out there. And then actually seek someone who's a bit more experienced to help configure and curate all this incredible content into some kind of pathway. And finally, follow your passion. Always follow your passions. Life's too short not to be going for your passions, and you'll be better at things you're passionate about. So those things, that's what I'd say to someone.
And through that philosophy of, you know, the desire, the passion to be what you must be, and utilize that in an accountable way to personally develop yourself, to help other people. You, as a company, have also helped many charities, causes, et cetera. And today, obviously, social justice is such a huge and important issue that we're facing. And it seems to me that Precor, and now as general manager of Peloton Commercial, that you as a company have a great response and participation in this type of movement to create equities that we've been working, you know, for over a century on or more, especially in America. What types of things are you doing in response to and participation with the social justice issues that have arisen recently?
Yeah, and prior to the acquisition, we had a Precor Gives program that was very active in the community. And then to join Peloton recently and to be part of a company that's committed $100 million to address that is incredible. And I think you could really sum it up by saying, if you see inequality, you put yourself in the shoes of the person who's suffering that inequality. It's the silence of your friends which must be the most disappointing, not your enemies. But to be oppressed and treated in a very unequal way, the silence of your friends must be the killer, thing. And so, as friends and a force for good, it's incredibly important that you make a stance and you put your name down on it, and you be an agent of change, not just an observer. And there isn't a company, I don't think, that's doing it any better than Peloton. They're doing it such a nice job, and I'm proud now to wear the Peloton badge on my shirt.
You know, there's something I need to point out because there's so much rhetoric, and even beyond the silence of a corporation, when there's marketing and halo effect marketing and different amplification of messaging for great causes. But it's very rare for a company like Precor and Peloton, who not only isn't silent, but they're putting their money, right? A lot of companies, they say one thing, and we've seen it historically in the tobacco industry, for example, and other industries where they talk the talk, but when the money was put onto the line, they still were, selling something that they didn't represent. And I really want to applaud both Precor and Peloton for putting their money where their mouth is, beyond just not being silent. So a lot of companies out there should take an example of what it takes to truly create social change and an impact, which you personally as a leader and the company does so well. Just to finish up real quote, you've been through so many extraordinary journeys. You've had such extraordinary success, and no more than the acquisition itself, but I can't imagine what the next 12 months after the year of reflection of 2020, now we're in the year of decisions. You seem to be an extraordinary decision maker. Do you have any quotes that you could share with us that maybe you live by or you'd like to share with us?
Well, I touched on them before. I think it's the mindset of a rational optimist.
I love that.
We are very lucky people to have the opportunities that we do compared to the average, human on the planet, when all the things that go through. So once we've delivered all this luck and opportunity, you should really scoop it up with both hands and just go for it. So I would say the things that got me where I was rational optimist, seek to treat others in the way in which you should be treated yourself. And I know that's said often, but if you actually do it consistently, it's amazing how many people want to be on your team or work in your company or just be part of something. Mutual respect and the overwhelming returns of sharing. Every human's got incredible potential. So how do you find it? How do you develop it? And then once that does, how do you share in the joy of that? And then just always be hungry to be the best version of yourself every day. That's another thing. If you can, no matter what day you've had, if you can finish a day feeling you've developed somewhere, you've won. And I think life ends up, the older I get, the more I realize life ends up just being a lot of one day or moments that you're putting in line. So you have to be that every day. And then also once you do that, I think the wins, like of COVID, is a good one, but the wins of business, they can blow in your face and make it hard, or they can be on your back pushing you forward. But it doesn't really matter which way they're blowing, as long as you have that personal drive and that personal commitment to things that can never be taken off you. It's quite an empowering thing, actually. It means you can get through anything.
And you certainly have. Rob Barker knows how to set his sails to success no matter what direction the wind is blowing. I appreciate all the great wisdom and your playbook to success. Rob Barker is the CEO of Precor, the general manager of Peloton Commercial, sharing all these great lessons for life for all of us. Thank you so much, Rob. This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.